The Widow of Blackthorn Hall. The wind shrieked through the heathered moors like a chorus of mourning ghosts. Rain lashed against the carriage as it creaked up the hill, wheels groaning in protest with every turn. Inside, Selena Harrow sat wrapped in a velvet cloak, her hands gloved and clenched in her lap. She hadn't returned to Blackthorn Hall in nearly a decade, not since the fire, and not since the disappearance of Lord Ashwin Blackthorn. But the letter had come, sealed with the sigil she recognized instantly, the thorn-wrapped raven of the Blackthorn line. Come home, Selene. There are things you must know. No signature, no explanation, only the scent of damp parchment and a faint smear of soot. The manor loomed from the fog like a sleeping giant, half its stone face scorched and crumbling from the old fire. Ivy had grown rampant over the years, wrapping its tendrils around windows like clawed fingers. One wing remained intact, its tall windows glowing faintly with candlelight, though no servant had lived here in years. The driver wouldn't enter the grounds. "I won't go past the gates, miss," he said, avoiding her gaze. "They say the dead still walk the halls. Whisper your name in the dark." Celine disembarked alone, boots sinking into the muddy earth, and pushed through the iron gate. It groaned open with a reluctant wail. She stepped inside the entry hall, and the past greeted her like a slap. The air was cold and damp, but the scent of old roses still lingered. The chandelier overhead swung slightly, though no wind touched it. "Celine." The voice curled around her like smoke. She turned, heartbeat surging, but the hall was empty. Shadows stretched long across the black and white checkered floor. Her fingers brushed the banister, half expecting it to vanish like a dream. But it was solid, real. She lit a candelabra and made her way to the west wing, the only part untouched by fire. And there, in the library, waiting by the frost-laced windows, stood a man. Ashwin Blackthorn. But he had not aged, not truly. His raven black hair had silvered at the temples, but his eyes were unchanged, glacial blue, sharp as glass. He wore the same embroidered coat she'd last seen him in the night of the fire. He should have been 40 now, worn, grayed, but he looked no older than when she left. "You're not real," she whispered. A flicker of something unreadable crossed his face. And yet, here I am. She backed away, candlelight trembling in her grasp. "They said you died." They were wrong. "You vanished into the flames. I saw it." "You saw what you were meant to see." The room swelled with silence, and the wind howled louder outside, a beast pacing beyond the stone walls. "I've waited," he said softly. "Waited for you to come back." Celine felt a coldness bloom in her chest, the love she had buried deep, a love that once threatened to consume her, stirred again. Their courtship had been forbidden, veiled in secrets and scandal. He was heir to a cursed line, and she, the orphaned ward of the house, raised under the tutelage of Ashwin's cruel uncle. "You sent the letter," she murmured. He nodded once. "There are truths I must give you, and a choice." She narrowed her eyes. "What sort of choice?" Ashwin turned, beckoning her into the heart of the library. The fire roared suddenly to life in the hearth, though no match had been struck. The shadows deepened in the corners of the room. "This house lives," he said. "It remembers, and it punishes." A book slid from the shelves and struck the floor with a hard thud. Celine gasped. The floor beneath her feet thrummed with unseen energy. Ashwin moved like a man burdened with something unholy. The Blackthorn line was bound to something ancient. My family made a pact generations ago with a spirit that dwells beneath this land. It gave us wealth, power, but it demanded blood in return. "Sacrifice," Celine said, voice cracking. He nodded. "And when I refused to carry on the curse, the house turned on me. The fire was no accident. But you survived. I was bound in return. The spirit spared me, barely. But I am neither dead nor fully alive." His eyes shimmered with sorrow. "I walk these halls as something in between. This house is my tomb." Tears stung her eyes. "Why summon me now?" "Because the spirit grows restless. It wants a new soul to feed on. And it wants you, Celine. It always did. You were meant to be my bride, its next offering." She recoiled. "You brought me here to die?" "No." He moved closer, shadows clinging to his form. "I brought you here to make the choice I could not." He knelt before her and offered a silver dagger, its blade etched with runes. "You can sever the pact, with blood, but it requires a price." Her hands shook. "What price?" "If you kill me, the curse ends. The spirit will lose its hold. The house will fall silent forever." Her heart twisted. "But you'll die." "I'm already dead," he whispered. "A ghost trapped in flesh." She stared at the dagger. The fire crackled like laughter behind her. "There's another way," he said, almost a whisper. "You can stay, bind yourself to me. Take my place, we rule the house together as bride and groom. It will never hunger again, so long as we remain." "Eternity in this cursed place?" "Eternity with me." The library trembled, books falling in cascades. The spirit stirred, aware of her decision. She looked into his eyes, eyes that once held her under moonlight, eyes that burned with desperate longing and felt the old ache of love awaken. Could she kill him? Could she leave him? Or was she always meant to belong here? Selene stepped forward and touched his cheek. "You should have let me burn with you." A slow, pained smile curled his lips. "I tried to save you, even now." She pressed her forehead to his, breathing him in one last time. Then she took the dagger and thrust it downward, but not into his heart, into her own. Ashwin screamed, catching her as she fell, the dagger clattering to the ground, slick with blood. "No, Selene. Why?" "Because I choose you," she gasped. "Always you." The spirit shrieked in fury, a sound that shattered every mirror in the house. The candles extinguished, the air turned to ice. Selene's body went still in his arms. Then the silence returned. Ashwin stared at her, cradling her against his chest. And then, slowly, her eyes opened again. Not blue, not green, but pure black. She rose, no longer mortal, but something more. Bound, transformed. The house sighed with contentment, the storm outside fading into eerie calm. The spirit had taken its bride and found its queen. Now, when the villagers speak of Blackthorn Hall, they tell of two shadowed figures who walk the moors at twilight, the man with eyes like frost and the woman with death behind her smile. They say if you see them, you're never quite the same again. And at night, behind the ivy-covered walls of the ruined manor, candlelight still flickers in the window. The house lives on, as do they, together, forever.